What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video with Plug Power, their earnings that just happened, how they're looking the chart wise, and should you still even be looking in Plug's direction. So we can jump right in to Plug and everything going on because there is a little bit of good news at least. So we see from this the chart a massive obviously dump here. We were in this area before and we actually broke underneath it for a little bit at 1270, which was not good because obviously when we look back after this lower line, there is nothing underneath that line. So this 13 whatever mark is lower. I mean, I guess we could look even to 10 here, but ideally we really don't want to keep moving down these channels here. So at least we broke down, got back above, and are kind of in this area. What I would want to see for Plug is just trading within this area would be fine. A little bit of capitulation here from $14 to $19 would be pretty fine. That would be normal volatility for Plug to go up and down like that. And if the market is choppy, that's what we can expect. I mean, we saw last week the market got a little bit of green. We had some hopium and it went away. But we didn't actually sell off terribly. So we had these two good green days. You can see this red one. We didn't super sell off. So that's good sign number one. We didn't completely sell off the rally like we did before. We have before selling off where we saw like a rally like this, where we rallied, it felt good, and a complete sell off below where this candle was before and moving down. So at least we don't have that happening right now. So we don't have a complete sell off, an abandonment of this. Maybe we're getting closer into this place where we're starting to flip around, starting to get back into a little bit of investing. Maybe we bottomed out in the market. Could it still move lower? Absolutely. But how many more events can happen? We've had so many things happen. So many things are priced in. It's been the worst year in basically ever for the stock market. So maybe we bottomed out. But if we haven't, the worst thing to see would obviously be going back low here. What would be ideal is kind of trading in this range and eventually seeing the market start to recover a little bit, start to get into a better spot and move above this $19 range and get back into the red channel, which has been a problem for a long time back here and a long time during this period. And now it seems like we are a long ways away from that even being a problem anymore. But that would be ideal situation for things to happen. And Plug had their earnings the other day. They reported obviously a loss. They're still losing money, to be expected. We go to their earnings. This was their last one. The estimate was minus 16 cents per share. They reported minus 27, so a bigger loss than expected. They've been reporting that basically every single time here, so we're waiting for that to flip, waiting for them to get into a better spot. And I think they're moving in the right direction, and we might see that in this right here when we look at their revenue. So the revenue the last time was $161 million and a loss of $192 million. If we move on here, we can see it went down a little bit, but wasn't terrible. So this was the best quarter ever that Plug has ever had. So to go back to back best quarters ever would have been amazing, but it didn't happen. So moving down to 140 is not a problem. It's in line with like this last one here and moves up. It's not a crazy move down. It's not something ridiculous happening, but they did go from 192 million in losses to 156 million in losses. So you can see, even though this quarter they made more money, they actually lost more because it's around 30 million that the loss was the difference between revenue and their loss. But this one, it's only 16 million. So that cut down a lot on losses for what happened, and revenue still in a pretty good spot. So ideally, what we want to see is a move up in revenue and a move down in losses. So we have the move down in losses and kind of sustained revenue. It's not $20 million difference. It's not terrible. It's not ridiculous. It's not bad. It's fine. But we did get the move down. So the next earnings, we want to continue to see this compression go down where they're losing less money. The difference between revenue and loss goes down. That's good. The amount of money lost going down obviously good, closer to profitability. But what we want to see is revenue go up with losses going down. If we can see that in a combination, I think that would be amazing. If we can see them beat on their earnings for the first time in a while, I mean, it would be a year or 2 years ago was when they beat last time. So hopefully we would like to see a beat. They're estimated minus 0.18, 18 cents. So if they can beat that, it'd be really good. Looking on the right direction for Plug. If they can't, I mean, it's not the end of the world either. Obviously, they haven't really been doing that. The thing I'm really keeping my eye on is revenue. We like to see it keep moving up. Came into the year with 83 million in revenue for a quarter and kept moving up 71. So this is about even, moving up 124, 143, 161 to 140. So sustaining that is still a good thing. Even though it's technically lower, it's still sustaining above 100, at 140 level. It's still a good revenue. And if we look at the hedge fund trading of Plug, we can see recently they've been about the same, 674,000 shares. And then this was about 640,000. So they're not going crazy like they were back here. Massive hedge fund buying pushes the price up very, very quickly. And then massive hedge fund selling can also push the price down, which we could have seen here. But we know retail stocks and stocks that are dominated by retail investors have been getting hit hard. Plug could fall into that category with not a ton of institution support behind it or investment behind it right now. But if that does kick back up and we start to see hedge funds get back in and institutions putting their money back in, then the price can move very quickly and just explode up. And right now, maybe we're kind of seeing just a lull period. They're buying, but they're not buying heavy. Obviously, this is over 4 million shares, and we're at 640,000. So it's not ridiculous. Short term looking at this, it's not like they're dumping bags and they're abandoning the entire company. They're just not buying as heavy, which is fine. This is something that's massively important for Plug Power, is the amount of money they have. We know with interest rates going up, it's harder to fund your company, especially something like Plug that's not profitable. It's kind of hard to fund your way to profitability because of interest rates going up, cost of capital goes up. But right here, Plug has $2.5 billion of cash and cash equivalents on their balance sheet. That is massively good. This can get them through any hardships and interest rates and the outside market that would have effects on them directly trying to grow the company, but they don't have to worry about that because they have the cash on hand. If they're burning 100 million a quarter, 400 million a year, they've got a couple years worth of expenses here. It should be 2 years, so $800 million, and they should be going profitable by then. So well under $2.5 billion, in which they can still use to expand the company, build out their infrastructure, and continue just moving forward with everything overall. And we can see on this chart, we can see both things actually, but the short float, 13%, that's up. It was around 12% before. So the short float, more interest in shorting Plug, that's going to drive the pressure down. So on top of the market driving the price down, everything going on with inflation, the Fed, and all these things going on, the market's in a bad spot. On top of that, a lot of companies are getting shorted and being pushed down further too. But on top of all that, even with Plug, it's being shorted and pushed down as well. So we can also see here the institutional ownership, which is right here, 55.3%. That's actually up because it was around 50% a few months ago. Now we're at 55%, so it's growing. Institutional ownership is growing. That's good to see it inside, kind of, being interested in that. They have a lot of money. These are the hedge funds that have tons and tons of money. They get involved, things happen, and obviously they see the value in what Plug could bring into the future. And we still have, obviously, the flash of insider sells for the first time in a long time, and kind of coincides with a move down there. So not surprising to see that. Obviously, keep our eye on the insider transactions. Obviously, the sells, not a huge deal. It's not like a ton of sells, and we've had a lot more buys, obviously, recently than sells. So a lot more bullishness on the company longer term than bearishness, but this is still an important thing. Kind of see what the insider is doing when they're making trades, buying, selling. It could tell short-term moves. So hopefully we start to see the overall market get better, and that'll help Plug get better. We all know Plug is a long-term investment 2030 goal 2024 checkup date to make sure they're profitable by 2024, living up to everything they said. Because if they're not by then, we'd have to take another look at the company. So Plug not doing terribly. Obviously, everything is beaten down. Plug is going to be way more volatile than other stocks or even sectors. So obviously, market can beat down. Plugs can get beat down with it. Shorts are gaining interest on Plug, pushing the price down even more. But ultimately, probably looking towards the 2024 date to see them being profitable. Like the revenue, nothing crazy going on there. Paying attention to that in their reportings, seeing to make sure their revenue stays consistent or goes up is what we want to see. And we're pretty much in that boat of being consistent and bringing the losses down. If we can do that and see a combination of that, it's going to be really good for Plug. So we'll see how it all happens. Long-term thinking for Plug. But as always, that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next